Yeah, it's like when I was back at school, my last 4 years, I was very good at art.
Yes.
You know, I wouldn't say I can't say I was one of the best. You know, I was the best artist there or anything, but I know that a lot of people love my art,
Yeah.
even the
Yeah.
teacher.
Okay.
And I always look forward to Friday.
Mm.
And Mr. James, I think, was the only teacher I liked.
Yeah.
And he liked me as well. He loved my art.
Yeah.
Quite impressed.
Mm.
And I think that's the only thing I really look forward to. I didn't really enjoy any of the Monday, Tuesday.
Any of the other classes were not really.
Well, I was just drawing, I was just doodling. I just didn't want to know.
Well, I must say, right, that I did well in English language, English literature, history, Spanish, maths. I did not too badly in maths. There's a few others as well, but there was about 3 or 4 that I just wasn't interested in at all. 3 or 4 classes out of the 9 or 10 that I did, and I just literally would, it got to a certain point, especially the last 2 years of school, my final 2 years, I just, I know I shouldn't have done it. When I reflect and look back on it, I should have gone to class and done what I was, what I was supposed to do. Because I probably would have ended up doing relatively well in those classes too if I paid attention and was, made myself pay attention, whatever. But the money was distracting me at the time. The lure of trying to get some money. So.
Well, I don't know about modern schools. About 40 years ago, when I went to school, the last 4 years, they separate children. They've got 7 sets.
Yeah.
And they got the top set for really intelligent people at reading and writing. And the second set down from that, then the third set, and then the middle set, which was called C for some reason, then D, then E. Do you know what I mean? And I was right down the bottom of the 7.
Yeah.
I was pushed down there because I really did have difficulty.
Yeah.
I was put in special classes and all this sort of
Yeah.
stuff, because I just didn't want to know.
Yeah.
I was an artist, okay? And this is the thing, an artist, this is what people don't understand. It's like Van Gogh, right? A very intelligent guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you study artists, they are. I've got another channel going called The Bird of the Man, as you know, yeah. And I've always loved birds since I was a very little boy.
Yeah.
And nature in a big way. And I love drawing it, okay. And basically, what I'm trying to say is, some people love. I feed the pigeons a lot, and I love them, right? As you know. Some people love pigeons, and some people don't.
Yeah.
Okay. And what I've learnt really is, artists love pigeons, and people that don't know how to draw don't really, not so compassionate about them, whatever. Right?
Yeah.
That's what I feel. I don't know whether I'm right, but not just maybe artist of the year too, musicians as well. Yeah. They're more likely to, the better artist you are, the more likely you're going to be more compassionate, I feel. It's like Van Gogh, a very compassionate person, I feel. And I feel like if you study any good artist, I guarantee you they love nature in a big way. Many famous artists, I feel.
Yeah. And I know that old saying too as well, like they said, there's a thin line between genius and insanity. There's, if you get what I'm trying to say, there's a lot of people that they call them crazy or call them insane,
Albert Einstein, they said that about him at the end of his days.
They said about, they call people crazy and insane and so, but you've got a lot of people that are, that are really, highly intelligent, if you see what I mean, that are, they're so intelligent that sometimes it's hard for them to...
So what makes you intelligent? What makes a person intelligent? Is it what they know?
I guess so.
It's like Spanish.
Yeah, well, I know some French too. Because obviously my wife being French and obviously being to France a few times, and I know a bit of French too.
But I feel like somebody say you know French or whatever, does it really make you more intelligent than me?
No,
in
no.
any way. It's like if you studied French for say 3 years to learn it, I might have been studying something else. There's lots of different things to study in life, you see, I think, Bill.
Yeah.
And I just feel like, okay, you might be learning that, but I might be learning that.
Okay. Well, I think
things.
the most educated person is the one who's the most successful at life.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Does that make sense? Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Yeah. The person that's the most, educated is the one that's the most successful at life. Meaning, the one that understands life the most and understands what it's all about and how to live and how to conduct oneself and how to, you know.
I think.
How to be as a person. You know?
And you've got to learn how to live independently.
How to exist. How to navigate in the world that you live in. You know? How to be aware of lots of different things and knowledgeable about lots of different things, but at the same time blend in. You know? And just be able to exist in the world that exists, but understand that we know. Like, there's lots of stuff that we know. You know, that we talk about, like the Matrix or this kind of thing, or this, maybe, whatever. It's, we know about these things, but at the same time, you still have to exist in the reality in which we live in, if you see what I mean. So, it's about being knowledgeable and being aware and having some like discernment about certain things, and at the same time being able to navigate the world. We all have to exist in the world that has been in the society that has been created. For us to live in, depending on which country we live in, depending on what culture we live in, and background and environment and etc. So yeah, and I think that people also, I think, like we always talk about all the time, like I'm a big proprietor for self-education. I think the more you educate yourself, the more enlightened you become, and it shouldn't be for ego-driven reasons, if you see what I mean. It shouldn't be for like prideful or ego-driven reasons. It should just be for
your own purposes.
Exactly, for like seeking a deeper understanding and of meaning of life and your existence and those kind of things, if you see what I mean.
Well, that's what.
Not so that you can be proud and boastful and say, oh, I know a lot more about this topic and these topics and all these different topics because I've spent all these years researching it and more than these people, and because of that I feel that I'm more superior and I'm more intelligent or whatever. Like, it doesn't work like that. Like, knowledge is to be shared, like you were talking about earlier in one of the earlier episodes tonight. It's to be shared. It's supposed to, that's how we advance as human beings, how we advance as cultures, how we advance with our technology, with our language, with our speech, with our society and everything else. That's just how we advance, how we continue to grow, how we continue to implement things that are going to be beneficial and for the greater good, essentially, and benefit of mankind, going forward, because obviously that's always the goal. You want to be, you want to create a better world and a safer and etc. Society for the future generations.
I watch YouTube sometimes and I watch all this police and crime and the way the police in America treat prisoners. When some people drink and drive, the way they treat them, and it's all very educational and all this, and I feel like it's just not very educational when you're treating people like animals for slipping up in life, for going wrong on, like maybe they're going through difficult times for some purpose and they've had a bit too much. There is drink out there to buy and it's very tempting, whatever, and they made a little mistake, but I just feel like they're not teaching people by being violent to these people and treating them cruelly like animals and putting them in cages in a kind of way. These people only went wrong because they weren't educated about it, maybe, or they weren't told, or they didn't talk about the serious consequences of or anything. I just think it's all down to education, really.
But I tell you what, too, right, mate? And I hope this doesn't get me in any trouble in the future, in any way, of course. But these people have quotas. You know what a quota is?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, a lot of, like in America, let's say for example, because we're talking about America right now, you're talking about America, you can use that as an example. The states have privately owned prisons. And they have agreements with the states that in order for them to build a prison there and to house inmates that have committed crimes and etc., then they have to ensure that they have a certain amount of inmates within the facility every month, because that's how they make their money.
Crazy, it's
the governments of that state and
it's
everything
all corrupted, isn't it?
The governments of that state and everything else would be paying, because basically, if they don't fulfill the quota that these people that own these private prisons have stipulated to them, yeah, they can sue them for money basically, and say you're causing us to lose money. You know what I mean? You went into an agreement with us that you would ensure that we had enough inmates within the prison for us to run the prison and to make our profits, because obviously that's what they're doing it for. It's a profit thing essentially. That's how.
It's all corrupted.
So
it's all corrupted.
And if they don't ensure they have the quotas, like I was saying, then they would sue the state and end up getting money from the state, and then the state would lose even more money and still have to continue in the agreement that they've already existed in, because obviously they've signed an agreement. It's a law-abiding thing. You see what I mean? So then obviously the police, that's where the police get involved, because the police then obviously have to ensure that enough people get arrested and booked and whatever else, and you know, put in prison for these crimes.
See, they're really strict. They sort of say, once they put you under arrest, they tell you put your hands behind your back. You've got to do exactly that. And if you don't, if you're unhappy about the arrest, and you kind of react, and that's called resisting
arrest,
which is a crime.
Yeah.
And then it tumbles into more crimes, and then they get booked with loads of things at the end of it, do you know what I mean? And it's just crazy, really. Crazy reality we're all in.
And then you end up spending, some people end up basically for resisting arrest,
well, they bite the police, kick them, spit at them.
But sometimes people get 5 years, mate. Yeah. Just for resisting arrest and shit. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy.
Well, I've seen young girls of 18, right? They've gone over the top about drinking, whatever, and then they get a test, right? They don't pass the test, whatever, and then they get treated like animals in prison. But you know, they're being pinned down with handcuffs on the back of it. They're in pain and all kinds, and they've got like 4 men on them.
Yeah.
Pinning them down, all right. She's screaming her head, and I don't blame her. Do you know what I mean? And then she goes to bite them, get them off, you know. But then that's another charge.
Yeah.
That's another 2 years or something.
That's assault.
Then if you do something else, that's if you kick them, that's another assault. Don't kick, you know, and so on, all right. And they ended up getting like a life sentence for just having a little drink. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just think that's not. It's not humane. It's not. It's not teaching us anything in a way apart from cruelty.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I mean, everyone, I think, like, is, you know, especially in America, I would say, is scared of being arrested. Do you know what I mean? They have got to sort of show this is what happens to you if you get arrested or if you do this. But sometimes people get beat up and they've not even done anything wrong, honestly. That's the problem. You know, you get some police out there that are not educated.
Yeah.
They're too young, they've gone into it. They're not experienced, and they just want to go out there with a gun and have a good time.
Well, some of them end up, because they got a bit of power, right, mate? Some of them, the power kind of goes to their head.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And they feel, because they've got a certain amount of authority, that they can now have, they want to play, they want to be like God, if you see what I mean. They want to play God while they're, you know.
We could all be gods, can't we?
If you get what I'm saying. They want to, you know, they abuse the law, if you see what I mean, through, you know,
because I mean, anyone can have a golden badge, couldn't they? anyone. I feel like anyone could be a policeman, but what kind of policeman are they going to be?
Especially today, like the police, like these people they're recruiting a lot, like almost anyone. A lot of these, no, but to be honest, that's the honest truth, because like they're so desperate for people. They're so desperate, like today. You see them advertising quite a lot, like you know.
They're desperate. That's why.
And then obviously like they accept, like even if you check it today, they accept like even like really young people, like people that have like no, like they don't even require a lot of like education today to be a police officer anymore.
It's like anyone could be a policeman.
It's like anyone could be a policeman or woman today.
I think like even if you've got a police record, you could be a policeman. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. You know, but I do look at these police films a lot on YouTube, whether they're English and American, and I find it's very unwise really to put young people really on the age of 25, say, doing such a difficult job. Basically, I feel like you really need to be wise, mature, experienced. I feel like you need to be at least 30, really seriously, before you can. I think you need to study for 10 years and you can go out on the beat. You know what I mean? Yeah. When you're 30. And I think that it would help the police force be a bit more mature about their behaviour. You know, and I think like the police force would be a better police force.
Yeah, because then you have people that are a bit more older and a bit more mature, a bit more life experience, and hopefully a bit more, got some more, bit more values and principles and everything else that you should kind of have by that age, if you see what I mean.
Exactly. I think it's disastrous for everyone in public, putting immature people out there and they've not had much training. Yeah. That's very dangerous.
Trying to uphold, don't even fully know the law, fully don't even understand all the laws.
They don't know anything about, they've got no people skills.
Yeah.
Like it's taken me a very long time to learn how, you know, year after year working on removals and meeting lots of people.
Yeah.
To learn how, because I've not always known how to behave properly. I used to lose my temper and things when I was younger, like when I was 16.
Yeah.
I used to lose it just like that.
Yeah.
But now I've learned how to control my temper.
Of course, yeah.
And it takes time.
Yeah.
It takes a long time to. You've got to educate yourself on these things as well. And so, I mean, you're talking about self-education. I've learned more in the last 7 years than I've ever learned in my life. That's true. And I was going back to school. I was talking about my art. Every Friday I'd have art class, and that's the only thing I'd look forward to enjoy life. If you saw what I mean.
Yeah.
I'd enjoy being my weekends, but when it's Monday again, you know, and only because I'm not very good at English or writing or anything, it doesn't mean I'm stupid.
Yeah.
That's the thing. This is what I'm trying to tell everyone. Right? I was a very intelligent child, and I didn't really want to talk to the teachers or anyone because I felt like stupid. That's what I felt like. I felt like they put me in the bottom set. I don't want to be in there, and I just don't want to be in anywhere. If you saw me, that's what I felt like.
Yeah.
Okay, and I just felt like you can't divide children up like that. You know, where my brother, he's 2 years older than me, they put him up in the top set.
Yes.
So he's coming home and he's all jolly and everything, you know, and living, you know. He was a prefect for a couple of years. And he's getting all, you know, just everything's going for him. But me, no. I'm in quicksand from the very beginning. I can't get out of it, honestly. Don't matter how much I tried, I couldn't get out of it. I was trying hard, you know, with English a bit, you know, trying to learn, but I just couldn't learn.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, so that's it really. I was just angry as a child of being somewhere I didn't really want to be.
Felt like
and I was intelligent.
Being held captive.
I was intelligent because after school I'd meet people, talk to them, communicate with them, my friends, learn from them in my own way. That's how I learned, I think, from my family at home. Not at school so much. I don't think I learned much at all.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the honest truth. I can't even remember the history. My history lesson. I can't remember. Can't remember them.
Yeah.
I think you only start learning like when you leave school.
For sure.
You only start learning about real life.
Yeah.
I think once you leave school.
Well, I was gonna say I kind of understood life from, because the environment I grew up in, like from like 14, 15. But I left school at 15 anyway. Finished school at 15. So I was already out working. You know, by the time I was about 16, I was already working. You know, so I was already out in the real world. You know, from a young age. You know, straight away, like kind of in the deep end. You know, straight away. You know.
But it's like marriage. You don't learn about marriage until you get married.
No, no.
You don't learn about being a mother or father until you have children of your own.
Yeah, yeah.
I suppose you can experience being a bit of a mother and father when you've got to take on other people's children.
Yeah. Like if you've got obviously if you've got a sibling, an older sibling who's got children or something, then you
Or I've known some people. I've had some friends from the past that their mum's passed away and they've got young siblings, so they had to become a mother.
Yes.
The daughter of the mother.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That happens.
That does. Yeah. It's true.
I think it's, you know, like if everybody was educated, loved, and we lived in a just where we were you know, like I said, schools are suppressed. I feel they don't want everyone being self-employed. They don't want everyone being rich. Full stop. So they got to put a big carpet over it all, kind of way. Only let a few out.
Yeah.
Sort of like this sort of system where, you know, only a few can know how to get rich. I mean, that's the most important thing in life, I think, is knowing how to financially get yourself rich in life, in this life.
For sure.
Somehow. So you get out the quicksand.
So you escape. Yeah. And not only that, but like for some people, right, maybe they have to, in order for them to excel and to advance, they have to escape their environment. So once they're able to make enough money to do that, and to travel, and to see different things, and experience different things, and have a bit more understanding of life, and different culture, and different, just life experience, if you see what I mean. It helps them to broaden their perspectives and their horizons in life, you know. And sometimes gives them the inspiration that they need, you know, to, you know.
I mean, there's a lot of people out there that's not done anything, isn't there, really, with their lives.
Yeah.
Even as an adult.
Yeah.
People older than me, they've done nothing with their life
Nothing.
whatsoever.
Yeah. Had no goals, no real ambitions, like, you know. And that's okay too, like, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of people in life that are just happy working a 9 to 5, just living, the average working class life, and, having a few holidays a year and spending most of your life at work, and, and etc., and that's okay, don't get me wrong, there are people, that's okay, if that's what what makes you happy and you're happy that way, then fine. But I've never been that type of person, personally. I've always been, like, goal orientated, like, I've always, like, yeah, go
on, sorry.
No, I was just going to say, anything that I've ever focused on and put all my time and energy and focus on and attention, if you see what I mean, into it, I've always eventually got the results in which I wanted to see, if you see what I mean, because to me that's just how life works. You want to achieve something, you want something, you want to be good at something or be better at something, then you have to put in the work in order to make that happen.
I mean, every day I wake up, I like to have a bath, and relax. I like to have a nice sleep. But every day I wake up, I also like to achieve something, in one way or another.
Yeah.
Whether it's if I've learned something new, that's great.
Yeah.
And I feel like at this point in my life, I'm kind of searching really what I want to learn next in life. And I think it's really important to choose what you want to spend your time on.
Yeah.
And it's also important that you enjoy what you're learning about as well, or what you're doing.
Yeah.
So I think there's so many people in this world today that don't really like what they're doing, but they have to do it.
Yeah.
No, I mean, when you're a child, you learn and learn day after day, hour after hour, week after week, year after year, or whatever, then you leave school, and then half the people end up in a silly factory all their life, or and you know you didn't really need all that schooling for that job in the first place.
In the first place, yeah.
You know,
and it's like some of the stuff, like I remember getting taught, like especially like towards like the latter years of my secondary school, like towards the last couple of years. I remember like some of the stuff we were learning in maths, let's say for example, or physics, or some of the other stuff, like other classes that I was taking at the time. I remember thinking to myself, like, I remember being in class and literally thinking to myself, I'm never ever going to use this again in my life.
So why learn it?
What I've learned, as much as literally, mate, no word of a lie, I remember thinking to myself, I feel as though I've learned as much as I could possibly gain from this subject at this point, if you see what I mean. Because now what they're trying to teach me, like x squared plus y, you know, equals, you know, when it got, don't get me wrong, I understood algebra up until a certain point, yeah, Pythagoras theorem.
That's when it gets a joke.
All that type of shit, I understood all that type of shit. But
joke.
when it got to a certain level, I was just like, I'm never ever going to use this again in my life. I'm never going to, like, I have, you know, this does not interest me remotely in any way, shape or form. And I remember sitting there thinking, God, I've got to sit here and you know, listen to this, and and do this task and do all this, and I'm never ever going to do this again in my life. Like, this doesn't interest me, like, you know. And unless I'm a rocket scientist or some kind of like, you know, some kind of, I don't know, some kind of like architectural engineer, or you know, something like that, then I'd never use this information again in my life. Like, you know.
I can remember be a very young child. I can remember like maybe 7, 8, or something like that, and we were just sort of looking at a blackboard and doing our times table.
Yeah.
For a couple of hours. It's very boring.
Yeah.
I know we've got to learn it, but I just find it torturing.
Yeah.
In a funny way. I think there's just better ways of learning in life, fun ways of learning, and I just don't think I don't think a lot of children enjoy school. I think some do.
Yeah.
If they're doing well.
Yeah. As I say, I must say,
If they're getting praised.
My son does seem to enjoy school, and I'm very happy about that. And my daughter seems to, I think she'd be the same as well, to be very honest with you. So I'm hoping, you know, I'm hoping they'll both, you know, continue to be that way, you know, continue to enjoy it, and you know.
I'll tell you one thing we all enjoy, children especially, I think, is being praised.
Yeah, and that's what you need to do. That's what you need to do. And like, even with my son, he brought home his report card 2 weeks ago. Yeah, just before the last 2 weeks of school ended. Before, you know, the final, you know, 2 weeks before school ended. Sorry, he brought home his report card for that year, and all of his subjects were excellent. If you see what I mean, he got X. I was expecting him to get excellent in most of them. Don't get me wrong. But, you know, I thought maybe he'll get excellent in, because I think he's out of like, I think it's like 10 or 11 of them, if you see what I mean, different subjects that he does. I thought he would maybe get 9 excellent, and maybe 2, you know, good or something, if you see what I mean. But all of them were excellent, if you see what I mean. So I said to him, just for that,